Oh, you're carrying on. With $9 left, there's not far to go. Not through this time of cold and snow. You could help us back to 2 a week. Me, the bold, Isaac, the meek.
That's wrong! Patreon.com/ShameCity.
You got a bit annoyed there.
I did, I don't like being called meek.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello and welcome to episode 55 of That's a Shame.
Sounds very official.
Well,
Sounds like you're about to break some bad news.
Last week you had a go at me for being too loud and too up
Not
and too
loud,
high with it.
just, yeah. I thought that you were
And
falsely
so-
advertising the show.
So I figured, fuck it. I'll deliver it like a eulogy.
Dower! Great news. Well, here we are. Who are you?
I'm Declan.
I'm Isaac. And
Also.
together, we're That's a Shame. Haven't said that in a while.
No.
How's life?
It's, well, not
Rainy.
incredible.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm sat next to a window that is the portent to my very damp future.
Oh, yeah. You're going to be walking all over that rainy day, aren't you?
Yes, but otherwise not too sad.
It snowed here, didn't it? How was that for you?
It did. It was annoying. In fact, really,
God, you're so
really annoying.
Scrooge-esque.
Well, normally I absolutely adore snow, but you see, the thing is this year it happened on the 2 days that meant that it cost me about £200.
Why?
Because as I discovered to my
Do you think you have to
dismay-
pay the sky
Yeah.
for offering you snow?
Thanks
God!
No, because the real money spinner of my tutoring career is these football academies. And of course,
yeah.
when it snows, they all shut. And this was their last week for 4 weeks anyway.
Oh, no.
'cause they broke up for Christmas. So yeah, they've all cancelled.
It's funny how there's two sides to every story, because I bet they at the football academy were like, it's a Christmas miracle. But there you are, just inundated by poverty all of a sudden.
But the snow itself, if we take it as an
Delightful.
objective thing, was lovely.
I threw one snowball. I tried to throw on at our balcony and it went on a different balcony, so I just ran away. But also there were some little snowmen dotted around the garden that was very sweet. One of them was like just getting gradually more lopsided as
One of them
time
was
went by.
sponsored by Costa.
Of course,
balloon
yeah.
in him.
We've kept some snow in the freezer because now it's all gone. So we're like in the same way that supply and demand's working in the kind of Bitcoin market as they move towards an inevitability where the finite 14 million, I think, is the amount of coins you can possibly have.
Right.
Something like that. In the same way as we get further and further away from this snow, that's going to be worth, let me tell you, white gold. That's our future in
That's
that
our
freezer.
elephant tusk in there.
We're going to start handing it out to the children of Colindale, $20 a gram. I know, it sounds like drugs.
Good. You make it sound like this terrible programme we watched last night about the world's most expensive presents.
That was an absolute attack on everything that it means to be a human. What's that? A gold-plated bike? There was a man who was just his job. He was clearly a very stupid man.
They were all
Yeah,
very
actually,
stupid people.
true. They were uniformly very, very thick. And that's not an attack, but in the context of how much money they have, it does seem, I mean, to illustrate something. It was like
Yeah.
a clear metaphor, not even a metaphor, just the actuality of super richdom. But his job, he'd started this business. He was from the UK and he'd somehow started a shop in Dubai where all they did was sit around thinking of items. Then they'd choose one and cover it in gold. And that was it. And people were paying, someone bought a bike for, what was it, £250,000. Fucking
There was
bullshit.
a £1 million watch. There was a poker set with Stingray inlay.
Stingray
leaving
and the
that there.
BoJack Horseman character.
Sounds like one of the films that
Yeah.
Princess
Stingray
Karen.
inlay.
The Courtney Portnoy and the Stingray inlay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a total farce. And it kind of put me off the idea of, well, I was never a big fan of wanting to be like super rich anyway. Because
No.
it does seem like a total waste of everyone's time.
I just want to be able to edify anything I want.
Yeah, okay, well, get this, guys. If you live inside the M25, and
Guys,
I recognise that's
actually-
not many of you.
Actually, I want to preface this with a little thing saying that it's very rare, especially these days, to see Isaac genuinely excited. And, especially in this horrible month of mortality.
Oh, goodness.
Sandwiched
Me
as we
and
are
Jesus
between
in the same month.
between birthday and New Year's, the two divine markers of death. It's very odd to see Isaac get excited. It's even more uncommon for that excitement to be instigated by an advert. And yet,
there we
this
were,
was-
watching some sort of psychic man who claimed that he could discover where bodies were, despite them already being known
Despite
to
they'd
everyone.
already been found,
Yeah,
and where
been
and
on
being public
Wikipedia.
information.
But don't worry about it. He is psychic. It's just that's like an incidental part of the story.
Yeah.
So he was there focusing on all the psychic powers he was using. And after that program came the adverts. Now, we've talked before about how I resent the very concept of an ad break, and it upsets me to my core. But what's this? I wonder if we should... Oh, we've already mentioned them. We should try and get them to sponsor us, though, is what I'm saying. Because this is just free advertising.
Yeah.
There's this company, right? Anyone who has any business inclination, please get in touch and tell me how this can work as a concept. What they'll do, if you live inside the M25, which is most of London, that's a big area, and we're pushing the limits of it already, they will deliver items to you, like grocery items, any time of day, 24/7, within 1 hour, with free delivery. So there's no cost on top of what you order. So the cheapest thing on there, the cheapest thing on there was some clearly mispriced 0 pence nappies that we chose not to exploit
18 of them.
just yet.
But we will be.
But there was
When you get back tonight.
there was a 35p yogurt. So I could just sit there at 1 a.m, order a 35p yogurt. Someone has to deliver it. Someone has to fulfill it to the delivering person, unless they just call around and has anyone got a yogurt? That's how it works. They just have so many people that someone nearby must have a yogurt.
Maybe they've got everyone on there has just had a kid, so nappies are in high
Yeah,
supply.
they're just get rid of them. But yeah, we tested it out because I just didn't believe that it would work, and there was a stumbling block in that our postcode is not accepted by any company under the sun. So we always put in the tube station postcode because it's right nearby. So we did that, and I'd submitted it, and it was a £5 for a 4-pack of beer and a packet of Skittles. It's one of those evenings, but it was just to test it out. And then within the hour, it was less than an hour, wasn't it? Bing goes our bell. It actually makes a horrible noise. It's quite upsetting. And there it was in a plastic bag with a little invoice. We'd been upgraded from the originally cheap beer to a better one because they didn't have it. So, and the beer on it said retails at £6.49. So we'd made £1.50 off this transaction. How is that a sustainable model? How can they afford to advertise on TV? Do you think it's some eccentric rich grocery store owner?
Maybe. It could be.
Mr. Walmart's just going mad.
Fucking loves it.
Very strange. But anyway, we've got a literary bent to today's episode.
Look, we both have degrees that are, at least to some extent...
Useless.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a large extent.
No, sorry. I meant at least to some extent to do with English.
Oh.
Because yours is only half.
That's true.
You had a half that was even more useless than that.
Yeah, I would say it's about the same useless overall.
But we have these degrees in English.
We thought...
we're not doing anything with them in our actual lives.
Well, no, because I'm tutoring, which you'd think would require some knowledge, but it turns out all you have to do is just make things up for an hour.
It's really quite helpful.
Yeah.
But no, so we figured that we should at least exploit the tens of thousands of pounds of debt that we have from it.
Oh, 48,000. What about this? Because people might not know this. Okay. If you're an older listener as well, by which I'm saying, the generation above, baby boomer age, perhaps. Right. I mean, probably you're not listening in the first place, so fair enough. But if you are, what you may not realise about student debt in the UK and in most developed countries that are fucking us over in a big way, so basically anywhere that's not Scandinavia, is that my girlfriend, for example, has a good job. Like, she has a full-time job that pays well. It was like a grad scheme that you had to apply for, that loads of people apply for, that she got. She's on like more money than probably both of us put together.
Probably, yeah.
And she was checking out her like student finance thing. She was in the year after they did the changeover where it was like tripled the amount of fees you have to pay, basically. So it was $9,000 a year.
Yeah, it's $9,000 a year.
And that's just the base. That's just the tuition.
Yep.
So it doesn't include the like accommodation, maintenance loans and things like that. Anyway, so the way it's set up is that it's sort of like a tax in that it's just kind of deducted from your wage once you're earning above a certain amount. So she was checking out to see like how much she'd paid off so far, because she'd been at this job for over a year now, like a year and a third or something. So she was assuming that she'd made some progress. Well, here's the thing. Turns out that the amount that they take out by default, unless you say, I want to pay like 10 grand as a lump sum, which no one can,
No.
the amount that they take out is £150 a month less than the interest that you're accruing on that loan. So she's actually like several £1,000s more in debt than she was before. Like, how is that a situation that anyone can be in?
Because it's designed to keep you in debt.
It's just mad, isn't it? It's so transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we're fucked. But we thought that on this sinking ship that is our millennial life.
My favourite thing is that, like, my dad, when he kind of found out about the interest thing on the loans and how much is going up, was like, you've got to try and do something about this. And I was like, well,
What do you mean?
Tell you there is nothing. But then he was like, if I were you, if I were your age, like, we'd be out on the fucking streets with that. Rewind like 4 years or 5 years to when they announced the change.
Do you remember?
And people
everyone was inside,
and there was the huge, enormous march on the streets that turned into riots because nothing was done.
Yeah.
My parents were furious. What's everyone complaining about? It's not going to affect anyone.
Oh dear.
I was like,
That's
this cannot be.
There is an interesting like tendency to just, I don't know, decontextualize things like that because you see them as just a news event. It's a shame that it takes that much of a literal approach to like, I'm now going to be poor for my entire life, for people to realise the consequences of their voting actions. But anyway, here we are on a literary themed episode.
And
if we're in all this debt,
what a show.
Is it going to be a hell of a show?
It's going to be a hell of a show.
I thought so as well. We're doing it in 2 parts.
Yes.
For us, it'll be 1 part for you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I shouldn't have brought it up. I didn't mean to confuse you.
We're discussing the nominees for the Bad Sex in Fiction Awards.
Wow. Now, I'm sure everyone would have heard of it, but in case they hadn't.
Well, it's every year. I don't quite know who does it. I haven't bothered to look it up. But there is an award given to the worst passage published that year in fiction, which is to do with sex.
Yes.
A description of a sexual encounter. Because someone, thankfully, decided that it was time that we addressed the fact that there are maybe 2 decent passages in all of literature where people fuck. And other than that, it is all dross. And I mean, we talked a little bit about it when we first pitched the idea of doing this as an episode, and we're saying that it's that people feel the need to overcompensate. Like, I'm talking about something that isn't traditionally literary. So what I'm going to do...
Use all my favourite big words.
Yeah, I'm going to really amp up the pretension. We're going to get some, as you say, some big long words in there, lots of syllables. We're going to like win Scrabble, and we're going to create something that is totally removed from anyone's experience of sex ever.
I read a book not that long ago where that came to a sex scene, and this author is like so bad at just anyone talking to each other. Really good at describing like places. Really poor at describing interactions. So I was concerned as I could tell that it's a travel writer that I've been reading a book of.
Why are you reading travel writers?
Because I'm helping one of my students to do a travel blog. So I thought I'd do some research.
Oh, that's good.
I'm diligent.
I've been constantly telling everyone that I tutor for the language exam that there will 100% be a piece of travel literature on the exam, because there always is. Every fucking year there's someone's diary or some.
Why does anyone do
article.
travel writing unless they're Bill Bryson?
Because it's just nonsense. It is bullshit and it's boring. And I've said to them that I apologise in advance, but I won't be talking about travel
or helping you,
because it fucking bores the shit out of me.
You'll have to double my fee for that, mate. But anyway, the way that they handled this encounter I think they're in Tokyo or something, and it was like they were talking about all the cultural differences and like how it increases the tension of like hooking up, makes it all just uncertain and like, oh, is this okay? I mean, it was very stupid to begin with, but the way they handled the sex scene was like she opened the door to her bedroom, ... And then there were just 8 pages of dots. And then on the 9th page, it was like, the next morning.
Oh,
it was literally like page. Like, was it the book broken?
So
it was like my
so
Kindle
bad.
had fucked up, except that my Kindle was a physical book. Very upsetting.
That's the worst. That's taking it to almost the next level.
Yeah.
Where like, oh, well, actually, we're going to go meta-textual.
It's pretty deep.
We're going to let the reader fill in this.
It's going to be an acrostic that says, we fucked.
I was going to say we fucked so many times. Some people may know that I think it was it last year? The year before, Morrissey won this.
Oh, yeah, Morrissey of the Smiths.
Singer's description of a giggling snowball of full-figured copulation helped him gain dubious victory. Yeah,
a giggling snowball on its own is a horrible, nonsensical image.
Yeah, the bit that I was looking for, the most horrific 2-word phrase in the piece, and perhaps ever, was his reference to someone's penis as a bulbous salutation.
Sounds like a Pokemon.
But again, like this is
move.
This goes back, yeah. But it reminded me, that one, of not sex so much as, do we remember when we did the episode about all of the dreadful writing in the 11+ exams that I liked? It's the
sounds
same
like
stuff.
that sort of
It
thing.
sounds like clunky polluter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's in that category.
Where you've just removed all reference to what it is you're talking about.
It's because your sense of context just diminishes with each time you look for a less common word on the thesaurus list. Yeah. You're like, okay, bulbous. Just anyone's
it's like
guess.
Going up, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I mean, these entries tend to either swing towards that, or people think, I'm going to be clever. I'm going to undercut the market here. I am going to go the complete opposite direction. And I'm going to be startlingly blunt about it. And that's really going to like hit home with people.
People will be like, God, it's so real.
But the thing is that it's not. Because no one on a regular basis, I don't think, has ever had blunt sex. I don't think...
You haven't lived.
I don't think that people are always saying, well, should we fuck then? I can say for certain I've never said that in my life. Or they're just like overusing kind of sexual profanity as this kind of like, yeah, we're like, it's earthy, it's real, it's and those people are, I haven't decided if I dislike them more, but I think I probably do.
Yeah, I think because they are... Anyone who's trying to buck a trend and in so doing falls into an even more egregious trend deserves double the ire, I think.
And also, like, they haven't even tried to make any art.
Yeah. I think in general, I was thinking about this before, like, it could be... I don't think I've ever read a sex scene in a book that wasn't... It would not have been better off without. I can't think of many examples of a well-handled sex scene. I also can't think of that many examples of sex scenes at all in most books that I like.
Yeah.
And most of the books that I like are quite cliche, obvious classics.
Yeah.
So it just seems from that alone that most good writing doesn't bother describing what it's like to have sex.
No.
Because they don't describe what it's like to like have a shower or go to the toilet. Like there are some things that are just glossed over in the same way that in TV you don't follow a character to do their like
While they drive from place to place.
or to like blow their nose for 3 minutes because they've got hay fever. There is an element of character development, but I don't think it's in the specifics of the act.
No.
Because it's very rarely relatable or relevant enough.
Yeah.
That someone like breathed a different way 3 minutes in. You're like, well, okay,
Well,
great.
there you go.
That's
Anxiety.
it then. Looks like Gatsby's going to hit her in a car. It's not what happens.
So should we jump in? So one of the things that I mentioned just before we came on air
Yeah.
is
Do you remember that, listeners?
is that it doesn't necessarily seem coincidental that all of the titles of these books are wank. And the names of the people who wrote them, horrid.
Horrid and unknown, broadly.
So, the first is from Laurent Binet,
Okay.
and he, I think,
Yeah, I would say so.
wrote a book called The Seventh Function of Language.
The seventh, okay. Referencing, of course, the famous 6 functions that we they're too obvious for us to
People
go
with
through.
literary
Yeah.
degrees know all about.
Why even bring them up?
Are we ready then?
Yes.
He tips her back and lays her on the dissecting table. She takes off her skirt, spreads her legs, and tells him, "Fuck me like a machine."
Hang on, now who's the machine here? Is she saying fuck me like you're fucking a lawnmower?
I
Or
think fuck
with
me
the
as if
power
you were a
of-
machine.
Right, now that's odd.
She's into some sort of
robo sex.
kinky pornography, I think.
She watched iRobot with a very different lens.
Yeah, with a Will Smith fetish and a room
No,
full
Will
of
Smith
chrome.
is just like, she just covers his face so she can only look at those pale robots.
She only watches it from the bit where, spoiler, you find out he's part robot. So, I mean, at this point, I think we're tending towards the blunter side of
Yeah,
things.
it is. And that's cool, isn't it? Because that for a woman in a novel to say that, you know that she's like strong, independent.
Yeah, you know that this was written by a...
Yeah. Oh, well, no, but someone who's
so
like,
you
he's
know
probably met a woman.
Yeah.
And like,
has
maybe spoke.
maybe.
Well,
I don't think he's ever fucked anyone like a machine.
I think he's fucked a machine.
Oh, I think he's only fucked machines. But I think what we might find is that it possibly tries to have its cake and eat
Oh,
it.
no.
Fuck me like a machine. And while her breasts... I hate this phrase. And this is like a phrase that I have a feeling isn't his own, but... And while her breasts spill out...
Spill.
Like it's cake mix.
No, spill is so liquidy.
I know.
That's horrid.
And while her breasts spill out...
Of a Pyrex jug that she'd been wearing.
Simon. You can't have a character in a...
No one called
fucking
Simon.
And they're called Simon. Begins to flow into her assemblage.
That's so horrid. That's like... to be fair, it continues the mechanical theme. But where, if someone said "fuck me like a machine," I don't think like a factory assembly.
Flow into her assemblage.
That just sounds like he's fixing the oil or something. Like he's checking that the hydraulics are working. It's like the least sexy part of machinery.
Don't worry though, because if you didn't like that one, we've got a few more kind of machine images coming up. His
Cog.
tongue machine.
No.
Machine. Tongue hyphen machine.
But that just doesn't mean his tongue. It means that he has a machine, a tongue machine.
He just whips
Did he get it out of the drawer? Hang on, just hold your assemblage there, Margaret. I'm just getting my tongue machine.
Look, your breasts just spilling all over the place.
You're making a dreadful mess. Where's the bounty?
His tongue machine slides inside her like a coin in the slot.
The slot.
And Bianca's mouth.
Simon and Bianca.
No one
this
called
has never
Simon
happened.
has ever fucked someone called Bianca. Least of all on a dissecting table.
Oh dear.
Which also has multiple uses.
What does?
Bianca's mouth.
Oh, I see.
Thanks for pointing that
Great.
out.
I thought it was just for shoving pie into.
Expels air like a bellows. A powerful rhythmic breathing.
He doesn't know how breathing works if he thinks that your mouth expels air like... like, you just keep it all in your cheeks.
A powerful rhythmic breathing whose echo, see, reverberates in the pulsing blood in Simon's cock.
Why has it gone from... That's something I'm upset about as well. I am upset about. So upset that I've lost capacity to speak. The fact that he thinks it's clever that it starts in all this like vague robot language and ends on cock as a very like short, precise, like almost violent word.
How are we feeling about the blood pulsing?
I glossed over it quite quickly for my own safety.
Bianca moans. Simon gets hard.
Doesn't moan always sound like just like, oh, come on, Simon, put the time machine away.
Can hear me breath reverberating in the blood in your cock. Then it takes a weird turn that it feels like a kind of children's book.
That's a shame, isn't
Bianca moans. Simon gets hard. Simon licks Bianca. Bianca
This is like
touches
teaching
her
us
breasts.
English.
Yeah.
It's like Biff and Chip and the magic key. Simon
Which
has
opens
a ball.
the door to the
ball
room that has all the
mouth.
tongue machines. Bianca touches her breasts. The flayed men get
Touches?
hard.
What? The flayed men? Who are the flayed men?
I don't know. I think it's probably a shit reference to something, because the next is Gallienus starts to wank under his robe, and
What's happened to this?
and Hippocrates under his toga.
No.
See, Bianca grabs Simon's dick, which is hot and hard, as if
Hot?
it's just come out of a
the
steel
oven.
forge, and connects it to her mouth machine.
This is This is literally the worst thing I've ever heard. This is so abysmally poor.
Simon, I like that when they can't think of another type of machine, they just tag a machine
machine.
onto someone's
Simon
mouth.
Machine.
Simon declaims as if to himself, quoting our toad in an oddly detached voice. The body under the skin is an overheated factory. The Bianca factory automatically lubricates her
The Bianca factory.
Devenir sex.
Ugh, I hate when people use the word sex to refer to, like, genitalia. His sex, her sex. It's the worst.
Their mingled moans ring out through the deserted anatomical theatre.
I thought it wasn't deserted. I thought we had all these old robed wizard men wanking in the corner with their hand machines.
Dumbledore
while
up against the wall.
The Bianca 3000 self-lubricates like a fucking conveyor belt of spilt breast. That is the worst of them I've ever read. I do read these every year, and that is already by far that, because there is no saving it.
No, that,
like you said,
like,
it oscillates between two extremes of the worst things that anyone could ever put to paper. Whoever this author is should be so deeply ashamed of just being published. I would, if I were them, go out to every bookshop in the world and just burn my own books.
solid.
Tell me their name again.
Laurent Binet.
Right, I'm finding him. French as well, it sounds like. Fucking letting me down.
The next entry is from The Destroyers by Christopher Bollen.
Bollen. Someone called Mr. Bollen sounds like he's going to have a subtle grasp.
Well, let's see how that pans out, shall we? I like that. It hasn't helped me that the opening line is someone saying, "Do me a favour." I can't know. Do me a favour,
mate. Get your mouth machine.
Do me a favour, she says as she turns. She covers her breasts with her swimsuit. The rest of her remains
Just what?
Yep.
What's
She
the
covers her
image
breasts.
here?
No.
Where was the
Fucking
swimsuit?
Hold on, will you? She covers her breasts with her swimsuit. The rest of her remains so delectably exposed.
That's bullshit.
So she's just draped, I think, it over her breasts.
Right,
It was to the
it's
side.
a one piece. She's holding
Yeah.
a one piece sideways,
Over her tits,
like a fucking
yeah.
sensor bar. Stupid.
The skin along her arms and shoulders are different shades of tan, like water stains in a bathtub.
That's not nice.
It's the most horrid
That's a
image.
really weird thing to say.
Why would you, like, for someone that's about to be fucked, why would you describe them so horrifically? Why would you describe them like a crime scene?
She looked like that bit of scum you get around the toilet when you don't clean it enough.
You know that bit in Train Spotting Her face and vagina. You can't start
You
a
can't move from one to the
with those.
Her face brackets.
There's no... I don't care what comes next. There's no
Hey.
similarity. Isaac.
We could write one of these.
Isaac. There's just no similarities between the face and the vagina.
Is he about to try and suggest that
probably.
there are?
Her face and vagina are competing for my attention.
No, they're not.
So
Stop it.
So I glance down at the billiard rack of my penis and testicles.
The billiard rack? What? That's the most unflattering description of your own self.
Well, like, if he'd said the billiard balls of
And-
my, like, or if he just said, I look down at my billiard balls, like,
But
it
why
would
would it just be...
it would be poor.
But also it makes it sound like he doesn't have a penis.
But
Like, it's
also,
just straight down.
has he therefore described his penis as being made of balls?
Have I got a clear image of what a billiard rack is? Isn't it like the, you rack the balls?
Yeah.
The triangle thing.
Let's
Let me
just make
Google
sure.
it. Imagine if we looked and it'd look exactly like
Like
a
a
penis.
cock and balls.
Yeah, it is. It's the triangle
Yeah.
that you put the... So what is he talking about? How many balls are comprising this man's genitals?
See, because I was thinking of it as full, because rack them up
Oh.
like it. So
The rack is the triangle without the balls inside.
Maybe.
So he's telling us that his cock is a giant empty
And his
Toblerone
cock
square.
and balls
That's very upsetting. You
is
should
an
get that checked.
empty triangle of wood.
That's the worst thing.
It's just wrong. Like it's not just bad,
And it doesn't
ineffective
conjure
imagery.
like a mood, does it? It's not like, the heady days of billiard
The
racks.
kind of smoky room,
Yeah,
the
it's
low
not
lights.
cool, is it?
Let's not tell Charlie and Sonny about this. Let's leave
Why
them
are
out
all
of it.
characters in bad fiction named so poorly?
Let's not tell Charlie and Sonny about this. About us, sorry. Let's leave them out of it. You know how this kind of thing can become a telenovela for everyone else.
That's very true. That's some wisdom at the end there.
I'm moving on. This one, I remember I read a bit of to you, and it does have my favourite phrase.
Okay.
This is from Mother of Darkness by Venetia Welby. So a woman now.
Okay.
Proving girls can do it too.
Girls can be shit at writing also.
They lie beneath molten sunrise, head nestled in inner elbow, mould of muscle mingling flesh
Inner
with
elbow?
flesh, one body, soul within soul.
Wow. Well, I mean, I don't hate that. It sounds like something that would be on the poetry anthology for GCSE.
Yeah. It's not terrible, but you
certainly
can't
not good.
go from inner elbow to soul within soul.
No, it seems like you've missed a few steps.
Yeah. The green grass curls around...
Why say green?
Pardon?
Why ever say that grass was green?
Don't worry about it. For the alliteration.
Oh, the green grass. Right. I see.
I'm going to assume her name is Tara.
Yep.
Tera.
Sure.
Around Tara's left breast as she curves her sleek physique around Matty's diabolical torso like a vine.
Diabolical torso.
Sleek physique.
Imagine if that was in your Tinder bio.
Around
24, looking for a laugh.
Student.
Diabolical torso. Swipe right.
pictured here. Diabolical torso. Like what possible
could they mean?
Like feeling are they trying to get across? Is it diabolically attractive?
No.
Is it an abomination before man and God?
Bright red and on fire. That's why they had to specify, because the rest of the grass was charred.
It's just leaking organs everywhere, spilling. Paralysed, complete, the marble statue of the lovers allows itself to be painted by the dawn's lurid orange spillage. Why is everyone on about spillage?
You don't paint a sculpture, do you?
Only if it's like Warhammer.
She was like a Warhammer 4000 dwarf. Her breasts spilling out of her dwarven tunic. Dreadful.
Shards of innocence, they lie in the sweet, sweaty chill of the morning light. Darkened by the sun and dust, yang curls around S-curved yin, a perfect fit.
Dreadful.
Fuck off.
That one, I mean, it was a lot more pretentious, but I kind of I respect that they gave it a go. Like, I think that was aspiring to be something
Get rid of the
a little more
torso
delicate.
element.
Yeah, cut the torso. We don't need to know what colour the grass was. Maybe we dump the yin yang thing because it's not, 1970. We've kind of got over that.
As a God Might Be, by Neil Griffiths. The kiss was an order and a disguise. She pushed her hand into his jeans and felt for his cock. She was experienced enough to prepare for disappointment.
Well, it's just not one. She's gone into his pocket by mistake. All she found was a packet of Polos and a Twix and his car keys.
Her tongue sought out his tongue and whipped around it, teasing it out.
Do you think that people in writing have overstated the role of the tongue in just general life?
Drastically.
Because if
Or
your
the
tongue was
machine.
seeking out someone else's tongue,
And whipping another one's out.
yeah, it's like you haven't moved your head.
Ugh.
It's like it just comes out like a big, remember
The
those big
Exorcist.
hubba bubba rolls
Yeah.
of bubblegum that went on for meters and meters? Like those.
1 metre.
Meters and meters. Depends on when you stapled together.
There was the taste of whiskey, the fresh basil from the salad.
Ugh.
Both knew that from where they were standing, getting to the bed would be awkward.
Where were they standing?
He still had his boots on.
Where were they? Do you think it just means they were outside?
Yeah, that's the end of the
They're
extract.
going to try and
as
jump.
well.
1, 2, 3.
They were in the pool. That one was just nothing.
Yeah, that was nice.
It was just an absolute absence of all words.
And they also technically didn't have sex.
Okay, this one is fucking long and it is pretentious as hell.
Okay, I'm ready.
It's from, oh my God.
You look physically sick.
The Future Won't Be Long by Jarrett Kobek.
Yeah, I don't warm to it as a book.
Do I have to do this one? Yeah. Okay. We made love and we had sex and we had sex and we made love. But reader, again, I implore, mistake me not, I am not your Pollyanna. I am not your sweet princess. We fucked in the effluvia of our bodies. We fucked in the scent of it, in the sheer stench of it, in the garden of our human flowering. Stained sheets, stained clothes, stained souls, stained towels. Why do you put on after
souls? It had
You
quite a
can't
nice
just drop
cadence.
souls into there.
Souls.
Towels.
Yes, the towels are horrid.
Fucked until my pussy ran dry and was rubbed raw. Fucked until the captain yowled outside my door, his grey paws smacking against the wood.
Who's the captain?
I'm assuming a cat. Fucked until John's daily erections withered into nothingness, unable to support a third or fourth condom. Fucked until the arrival of my period, pausing only until the heavy flow ceased, then fucking as John's penis turned cartoon red with my discharge. Fucked until celestial bodies rotated on their axes and reversed course in the heavens,
That can be
until
quite
the
quick,
bed
depending on the
broke,
body.
until the building itself became hypercharged with our organs. Or organs?
Yeah,
I don't
know
even
what it is.
fucking know.
No, I don't either care.
No, all I know is
I just want it to be
bullshit.
over.
Our fucking was a pulsing wave, a holy
Why is
burst,
everyone always going about pulses?
a holy burst of sacred geometry,
No.
a congress of wonder.
A congress of wonder.
It
What
makes
is
it sound like a
congress the
collective noun.
Yeah, what is it the collective noun for? Isn't it owls? Or
Isn't that a
something?
parliament?
Oh, yeah. Let me have a look. A congress. I hope it's some animal that just is so
Congress of mongoose.
such a shame. It's not baboons, apparently. Who among the animals can form a congress? Makes it sound like we're
Parliament.
Benjamin Franklin asks. This one says baboons again. So let's go
Put
with
that on
that.
hold.
Yeah.
I mean, that one tried to have its cake and eat it too.
What I hate is when people think that it's clever or, like we said at the start, it grounds it in realism to make it as disgusting as possible.
Yeah.
Because that's just not necessary, is it?
No.
Like, no one needs that in their life.
Who's constantly fucking in the effluvia of their own sex?
I don't know. I mean,
don't
you'd
know.
move on to another
you
area.
Would.
wouldn't
You'd,
You'd have a tidy up.
beds, you're only taking up so much.
Yeah.
Of one,
You've got to sleep there as well.
unless we forget.
Yeah. The head machine needs a rest every now and then. Got to have a little nap.
Head
Lovely
machine
part.
needs to go into power down mode.
Hibernation.
It's
That was my second least favourite so far.
sacred geometry.
Sacred geometry is not even their phrase.
No.
That's like such an old thing to steal.
A holy burst of sacred geometry. You don't have to say holy and sacred in the same...
The only reason you would is if you didn't understand what either of them meant.
You're not saying that Jarrett Kobeck might...
I think Jarrett
Might be having trouble
needs
with
to
this.
stick his oar right out of the whole process.
I think Jarrett has never fucked anyone.
I think he has, but it was only once, and the person exploded into a barrel of their own
And
effluvia.
they've recently come forward. How many have we got left? We've only got 2 left.
Okay. Is it in any order, by the way? Or are these just
No, these are just the nominees.
Will we be able to exclusively reveal days after it was announced who won?
A fortnight after the announcement. Yeah, of course we will.
Okay.
War Cry by Wilbur Smith with David Churchill.
Good sign. You want 2 men to collaborate on a sex scene,
Yeah, just having a little read ahead
so you know
so
the
I
style.
don't be sick.
Okay.
Yes, he said, taking the robe off her without the slightest resistance on her part and laying her down on the bed. Now, I don't like that. I don't think that you should feel the
Imply.
need to say that she...
Was consenting.
Yeah.
You'd feel like if you had written characters that warranted this sex scene, unless the point of this sex scene is that it was like the first time that they ever saw eye to eye, that the consent would be like something that you would have
Like
before you got to the robe taking off stage.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be trying to take off her robe unless you already kind of knew.
Yeah, knew that much.
Enthusiastic.
Like, it should only really be a feature if she doesn't.
Yeah. And that has kind of tainted the rest.
Yeah, but also because it doesn't feel... It's unnecessary for the characters. It feels like Wilbur Smith and David Churchill are doing it because they're like, guys, what we're about to write is okay.
Yeah,
because
don't worry about it.
Because this
I've
character
asked
said
David
yes.
here. Or at least she didn't say no.
Yeah.
That's a shame, isn't it?
I want to explore you.
Like she's a cave system.
Like Dr. Livingston and Mr. Stanley exploring Africa.
No. Please tell me this character is not black. Because if so, that is a crime.
We're reporting this already very well publicised book.
That's atrocious.
I don't know. I haven't got that far. He gave her a little kiss on the lips.
Just a little
kiss
one.
on the lips. But then his head moved down her body, following his...
Just his head, though. Sounds like it rolled off. Whee!
His neck just extends.
It's like a big Lego man that just clips
Mr.
off.
Fantastic.
Dreadful.
Moved down her body, following his right hand as it ran down her
this image?
breastbone. And then around each of her breasts in turn, a fucking figure of 8.
He's doing a slalom.
Like straight down.
So far, let's just picture this motion. His right hand is moving from her head downwards.
What I've got the image of is he's kind of created a weird sort of anatomical scalextric. What the fuck is it called?
It's called scalextric, as far as I remember.
Scalextric.
As far as I remember, everyone says
Scalextrics?
scalextric.
Yeah.
But I think it's not. Let's find out. Scalextric.
Okay.
Isn't that upsetting? Because
It's
everyone
such a
remembers it as scalextrics.
Yeah.
Because it's a much better word.
Yeah. Scalextric is impossible for me to both remember and say. He's created one of those tracks where the racers are his right hand and his head, and his head is behind.
It's like
just following
one of
the
those
right
exercises where you like pat your head and rub your stomach. Like his hand's doing this figure of 8 and his head's just going up and down wildly. Whee!
smashing into
Look how
breasts left and
dexterous I am!
right. This is just like Dr. Livingston and Mr.
What does he
Stanley.
think they did in Africa?
Well, I
mean-
think we know what he thinks they did. Oh dear. They were not they were not large, but they were pretty, and in proportion to the sleekness of the rest of them.
Fucking what a thing to say.
It's just such a man
It's such
thing
a like.
to say.
I reckon they like nudged each other like, oh, get
It's
this.
like there was, I think it was a tweet last year that I saw that was why is all men writing women like this? And it was like Sarah awoke and brushed her breasts as she stood up. She then titted boobily towards the stairs and cleavaged her way down.
That's
like,
right.
It's so good.
Very accurate.
The long flowing lines of a body that was naturally athletic, gifted with speed and strength, but still entirely feminine. Now I'm worried. Now I'm worried that
Sexist.
she's black.
That's what I thought.
I thought you
assumed that
said,
she
is
might
he
be.
black?
No, I think she is. They've clumsily made some sexist reference to the fact that she's athletic. But
Yeah.
still feminine, though.
Naturally
Don't worry.
athletic, but
You
feminine.
can be both.
Gifted with speed and
Yeah,
strength.
I think this is a caricature of a person of colour.
No,
I think what's the book called?
No, I don't want to know.
Because we have to.
I don't want to
through
know
and
that
report
I've
it.
been complicit in reading it.
Oh,
so
dear.
we can look it up afterwards.
This is grim.
Her nipples were a delicate shade of coral pink. Okay.
Well,
Where
we don't have definitive conclusion.
No. Okay. It seems hopefully it might not. Oh no, I've lost it.
Oh, that's a shame. We'll have to just move on with our life and never hear about it again.
And they were standing up for him as proudly as little guardsmen on parade. Who has ever thought that much about nipples?
And also, proud like little guardsman is a really like...
You do me well, fellas.
Yeah, it's patronising to the guardsman. It's creepy to describe someone's like body reacting sexually in terms of like proud little men. It's odd.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not sexy.
No.
It's not sexual. But why?
If you had that thought while you were having sex, you'd be like, well,
I'm never
going
having
home.
sex again. Yeah.
If everything that you did reminded you of proud little guardsman, David Churchill, then maybe you just need to go and find a little guardsman to be your boyfriend.
What about sex and writing it made them think that what people really want here is a simile about the nipples?
That's the key. Isn't
That's
it?
what
you
like
need to focus
really
on.
cements this passage together. Oh no. Oh dear. I think it gets very bad.
Oh no.
Here, for example, he whispered, taking her left nipple between his finger and thumb, squeezing it slowly, gently, just to the point where she gave a little gasp and arched her back. And then he ran the palm of one hand over that same nipple, touching it as faintly, delicately as he possibly could, while his other hand squeezed her right nipple.
He's making it sound like a big game of Bop It.
So that she was engulfed by two totally different feelings at one and the same time.
Wow, totally different.
This is, again, the, like, rubbing your head.
Yeah, this whole thing
Patting
sounds
your
like a
head and rubbing your
dexterity
tongue.
challenge in
It's
Crystal
a fucking
Maze.
drama sock warm-up.
It's like, right, okay. So your left hand's like different motivations for each body part.
Then,
Also, did he preface doing all that by saying, here?
for example, yeah.
What? Why?
Which makes me worry that, I mean, he doesn't in this passage, but
we can assume.
it makes me think that a bit further on, he's like, here, for example, the jungle. Right.
Here is the church, and here is the steeple.
And here, I'm fucking you, but it's consensual. Let's remember, we put
Let's
that
check
at the start.
Well, she didn't say no when I took her robe off.
Chucked it at the
There
start.
was no visible...
This isn't a race crime. This is just
It's just a crime full stop. I mean, it's
This
not a
is
crime at all.
Look, this is beautiful. I'm fucking pinching one tit and slapping the other.
Me and David, may I say, we were hard as rocks writing this, weren't we? Weren't we, old pal? Yes, quite.
Yes, remind me of everything I'd always wanted when I went to Africa.
When I went to Kenya, Rhodesia, back in the day. Game hunting I was, that's what we called it at least. Here, for example, I said. And then my left hand went up here, my right hand down
I
there,
tell you
and the best game of Twister you've ever played.
I tell you, she didn't know what to think. Two completely different explorations of the continent.
Of the
that she
same
was.
place. Bloody hell.
Fuck's sake. Then, still working her right breast with his hand,
Working?
he lowered,
It's not
he
bread
lowered
dough.
his head over her left breast and started playing with it. With his lips and tongue and teeth, sometimes kissing her skin, sometimes flicking the nipple with his tongue, then very gently biting it, taking infinite care
Infinite, wow.
to apply just the right amount of pressure.
I don't like that the three verbs you had here were working, playing, and flicking. Like, if you just took them out of context and were like, use a paragraph with these, most people would come up with like...
Foosball.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Not a sexual encounter.
No.
Not an exploration.
No. Horrible.
Her hands were running through his hair and then stroking his back. And then, as he brought his
Like a
head
cat.
over her other breast, she moaned and shuddered with pleasure. Her fingernails tore at his skin, and her buttocks began to writhe as the need for him took hold.
Just her buttocks were rising.
Just the buttocks. Everything
I don't
else.
think anyone has that much
statue
control.
still.
The old
She was
gluteus
twerking while
maximus.
lying down.
What an art.
Like, what I hate about this is it's clearly both of their attempts to publish something so that the women in their lives know that, like, we do foreplay.
We're experienced
Both
lovers.
of us, like,
Me and David, we
don't just dive in. We're not like other men.
We had a threesome together, actually,
No,
once,
we
didn't we,
take
David? I mean, she left halfway through. But...
I mean, we take infinite care over the nipples. Don't you worry, love. And let me tell you, all these women we've been exploring, they have loved it. I mean,
buttocks writhing all over the gaff.
3 minutes on the tits, and I tell you what, they're fucking
half an hour later,
for it.
They can't wait to put the robe back on.
Scratching at our backs, positively.
In a good way, you know. That tearing of the flesh implies familiarity. Dreadful.
The last one, I think this is just about got time to do. The last one, this is from a book, interestingly called "Here Comes Trouble."
Here Comes Trouble.
By
it's me trying to write a sex scene.
By Simon Rowe, spelled W-R-O-E. So that's not a name.
W-R-O-E. Okay.
Each one of these has a little like header quote from the text that to kind of prepare you.
Yeah.
And the one for this is fucking incredible.
Tell us when we get to it.
Yeah. The details of what happened in that bed, while engrossing, have no business in this report. Well,
leave it at that. Simon, you've almost won my affection, mate. That would have been so much better.
Nor is it certain that, put into words, they would survive the imprisonment. But it is worth noting that when people shed their clothes, they lose certain trappings and conventions. A clothed body is always human or human-like. A naked body always animal or animal-like.
Wow, what an original observation, Simon.
He's only been fucking animals.
Oh, all over the place.
Shaved chimps.
This is what Livingstone would have wanted. Come back here.
Look, if you read Darwin carefully, between the lines.
I mean, he's
what
basically saying it's permission, isn't it?
Look,
that's why the church tried to have it banned. The Pope wouldn't let it happen.
He didn't want anyone knowing that his God would allow this.
And sure, some safari keepers are old-fashioned. They think it's not the right thing, an abomination.
I tell you what, most veterinarians just slip them a tenner.
Turn the other cheek, mate.
The door's unlocked. Shut the windows after you leave.
Take 5.
Leave a little note of which ones you've been having a look at.
Oh dear.
Only at close quarters is the full extent of a body's wildness revealed. Like when a bird gets trapped inside a house.
What?
That's a great image.
I don't understand what he's trying to conjure.
So it's only when you see it up close that you notice how kind of like wild the body is.
Birds are never further away from you than when they're in a house.
No, but like when there's a bird in your house.
I know, but they're always trying to get away from you. They're not like right up in your face.
What I'm saying is that it's closer than if they were in the sky.
But further than if they were just on the
lawn.
Floor. Like all the pigeons
I'm not saying it's a good image.
No,
I'm just saying
shit.
I know what he's trying to say, even if he hasn't.
He's also unfortunately captured already that sense of trying to escape an alarm that doesn't necessarily set up a sex scene that you want to read.
No. One is moved to not entirely human thinking.
Well,
one goes towards its animalness.
Okay.
Sometimes during, he would think about where he was and feel a start of fright.
Is it the zoo?
And feel a start.
The monkey
of fright at doing this in his father's place of work.
Right.
Here we go. This is it.
Strap in.
Until he remembered his parents were in prison and couldn't catch him, and this would fill him with relief.
Oh, for you. Imagine forgetting that so often.
Also, we should say that it does never say he was fucking a human.
It never even said that. Oh, does it continue?
No.
But it never said he was fucking anyone. But if it were saying he fucked anyone, it was a bird.
It was definitely
it was certainly a bird that flew into his house. A great big ostrich. Wow.
So that's that.
And which one won, do we know?
It was the... Good job, I just closed it.
Oh no, I was doing a little drum roll and everything.
Oh, I know. You did have it up.
Winner.
It was the... What's his name? It was a shit one. It was the billiard rack one.
Was it?
Yeah. He won, I think, for that line alone.
Christopher Bolland's phallic.
Look at his fucking face.
To be fair, he looks like a man who probably does have a billiard rack in his trousers.
Yeah.
Let's see. An over-enthusiastic attempt, this is The Guardian, to, quote, describe the familiar in new terms, which led to the male genitals being portrayed as an anatomically confusing billiard rack, has won the American author Christopher Bollen the Literary Review's annual Bad Sex in Fiction Award. Bollen's The Destroyers, a literary thriller that Jay McKinney said, quote, invokes the shades of Lawrence Durrell and Graham Greene. No. Beat titles by the best-selling Wilbur Smith and the award-winning Laurent Binet to the prize. Judges said... Award-winning.
Award-winning
That's the
Laurent
machine
Binet.
person.
That's the machine person.
Let's look them up as well. Judges said they were persuaded to give Bollen the award by a scene in which the protagonist Ian and his former girlfriend are rekindling with their relationship on the island of Patmos. And then it just describes what happens. I want to find out if they've interviewed him for it.
Surely.
He must have a quote, surely. No, I didn't refuse to comment.
He refused to comment.
That's weird.
So mad.
He didn't want to have his own say on why he thought billiard racks. I hope that he genuinely
Laurent
did
Binet
think-
looks like a cunt.
Yeah, oh God, he does. I hope he does think that was normal and that getting this award has just woken him up to like go and have himself checked out for the first time.
God, yeah. Maybe that's why he didn't comment.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, his life has been changed at home. He won an award for his novel called HHHH, but the third H is into capital letter.
Oh, his lowercase.
Yes.
A debut novel of French author, released in 2010.
Wow, it does look good, doesn't it? It's about Himmler and everything.
Oh.
So there we go. I mean, takeaways are as follows. Never write a sex scene.
Unless you are already definitively incredible.
Yeah, unless you've won enough awards and a claim.
Not Laurent Binet awards.
Not for a book that is just the letter H 4 times.
One
That's
of them wasn't
nothing.
capitalised, though.
That's
let's be
true, actually,
fair.
that is art. Just don't bother, because the amount that you can... It's the ultimate example of the show don't tell thing, because in telling us the way in which your character's fucked, you are just trying to hammer down people's mouth machines.
Yeah.
Knowledge that we could otherwise get from
We
a
all
much
know.
more literary
Yeah,
encounter.
like you said, it's about what's important here, and the physicality, like the literal blow by blow.
Scalextric's hand. Blow by blow. I like
See?
it. You could be the new Binet, may I say.
Thank you.
All you have to do is go and fuck a few factories.
What I've been waiting for.
Go and
Get
hang
my
out in a
mouth machine
laundrette,
out.
see what makes you feel.
Is that it's the character element that's important, or it's, you know, how this is affecting them. You know, when you have a scene where someone's eating a meal,
Yeah.
like, and even that happens rarely, but as an example, it's
He
about,
lifted his left hand like Dr. Livingston.
you don't
probably did
describe,
once.
he chewed, crunching his teeth machines together to flatten the food into a paste before swallowing it.
The dinner was stench, was an effluvia concocted upon the plate of his own life.
The anticipation of peristalsis, palpable.
Ugh, that's horrid.
Yeah. So it's more about, you know, what was important to them. Why were they there? How were they feeling? This is why I think the only two good examples I can think of are, unfortunately, Lolita. Like all of the references to sex
because
in
it
that.
never happens.
Yeah, like
which is obviously the only way to handle it in a book that's about a paedophile.
Yeah, but it's like there enough that you...
It's there enough that it's incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And he discusses, like, the reason it's considered good, I assume, is because it's all ramification. Like, it's all about the psychological impact it has on,
exactly.
on the girl. And not about, like, trying to titillate people through horrible machine
what
language.
I did was a fucking...
What it was like, mate.
And Don DeLillo, who in a couple of instances in his books has sex scenes, but they're good because he sort of like... He gives you the kind of disrobement bit at the start, so you know what's going to happen. Then just tells you how sad everyone is for that page, and then at the end is
That's
like,
my experience.
And then at the end is like, oh, they're all quite sad.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, and then she left. There's a great bit.
And then he was even sadder, would you believe?
There's a great bit in like his new book where that like the two characters literally do not speak to each other, haven't ever before, and then it's like, so she spoke various languages during, and then she left. Let me tell you, he didn't feel all the better for
Crushing
it.
solitude. So that's our message at That's a Shame. Unless you're dead Nabokov or Don DeLillo, just probably don't bother too much.
Yeah.
we're going to continue with some Harry Potter stuff, but Declan has to go, so we're going to pick this up later. But the time will just elapse for you momentarily. And
Oh my God.
What?
We could use Ollie's harp transition.
Yes. Wouldn't it be nice, rather,
Wouldn't it be nice?
if we could just like
If we could just
all lie
be
down
like,
together
all lie down together
and dream of what if Harry Potter were
what if
written
Harry Potter were...
by a robot?
It's Isaac's future.
Now, the thing about Harry Potter
Is if it were written by robots,
Yeah.
it would be too good.
to follow up that kind of material.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nothing to do with the fact that like I just poorly scheduled this evening and now I have to go out because I'm going to go and see
Nothing
Star
to do
Wars
with
and have
that.
dinner
Nothing
at
to
a
do
pub.
with, nothing to do with me oversleeping. None of that.
That's all by the by.
Forget about that.
But the good news is this. Next episode, 56.
56.
God, that's going to be a good one.
Oh, hell of a show.
I'd say so. That's going to involve all of that Harry Potter material.
Exactly.
Don't go looking it up in the intervening period and ruining it for yourselves. We like to stay relevant.
Maybe some Danielle as well, because we promised some of that.
Wow. And an update on my revenge story.
Yes.
I just got an email that updates it seconds ago.
Incredible.
So stay tuned for that next week. Declan has something he's just been out to tutor and back in the intervening period.
In that quick harp melody.
More on which later.
Yes. I went out, tutored, and came back. But while I was tutoring, I had to read this text. And as I mentioned earlier, all the language papers include some sort of travel material. And lo and behold, we're doing a language paper. He turns up with it, and it's about British climber Matt Dickinson with his team.
Great!
But I thought it relevant, not just because it's travel literature, but because
he has bad sex on the top of a mountain.
It is some of the worst writing I've encountered.
Great!
And this is what's being given to children to teach them. So it's no wonder none of them can write wicked sexing. Not children.
Not that they're doing the writing, Declan hastens to add.
Goodness me. I'll just pick out some choice phrases. At 5,360 metres, it's called the section is called the Death Zone as well.
The Death Zone.
It's about climbing Everest.
Wow.
At 5,360
That's very
metres.
insensitive because my uncle's dad died climbing Everest.
It's not very insensitive though, because you
Very
don't really care.
insensitive.
At 5,360 metres, base camp is a cheerless place at the best of times. But once the sun has dipped beneath the surrounding ridges, it is like living...
Set, you mean?
It is like living in a freezer.
What a great thing to say about snow.
Living somewhere cold. It's like living in a cold place.
Yeah, it's mad.
Let's see. He describes the wind as a bullying force.
Okay.
White wall of snow. Ever heard that before?
A white wall of snow. Interesting. So the colour of snow, the wall made of snow was.
The night that faced them was a night from hell.
Wow. Was it?
Imagine popping down your pen after that.
Now, is that night with an N or with a K? Because if it's a K, this death zone's really hotting up in a big way.
I wish it had been.
You
Spice
shall
things
not
up
pass.
I mean, imagine putting your pen down after that and thinking, there's a nice original
That's
image.
good, actually. Because hell, that's like the biblical sense, and I'm trying to conjure. That's deep,
And it's
but
very
Everest's high.
cold. Oh, it's...
But no, because it's like a paradox.
Oh,
If all else fails, just say it's a paradox.
That's like juxtaposition or something.
It's something like that. Don't worry about it.
However, my least favourite sentence in the whole thing was thus. If Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction, and Nemesis, the Greek goddess of
The roller
retribution,
coaster at Alton Towers.
had joined forces, they could not have done a better job of devastation than nature itself did on that day.
Wow. That's really undermining the power of both of those gods, isn't it?
I mean, it was nice for an example of hyperbole.
Yeah.
But as an example of writing, a more cumbersome image I could not conjure.
Must try harder, Dickinson. Look, we've got some emails to close out. By some, I mean, we do have two, but I'm only going to read one this week because I like to kind of meet them out with relevance. Don't forget tass@shame.city. Share your thoughts, questions, feedback, all of that. Ollie has been in touch. This is Ollie that we've talked about in the last episode that got in touch after episode 50, was it? Mm-hmm. Used to live with him in first year. You callously dropped out of touch. only to enthrall him back.
Look, I feel that
words.
it was both our faults.
Well, you know.
6
I don't
of one,
see you emailing
dozen
him.
of the other.
That's what I'll say.
Well, when he does a podcast, I will email.
I hope he's got like the world's
He
top
probably
harpcast.
does.
Hi, it's Ollie here on Harpcast. Subject, blank. No subject here. I was recently thinking that it's a shame you don't have more cheap-sounding sound effects on the show. He hasn't had the Block Switch project. So I've recorded you some, just in case you ever need to illustrate a flashback, a dream, a shocking revelation, a cliffhanger. That would have been good for the Everest bit. We could have got a pun and a sound effect.
Oh.
2 for 1. For all your bespoke harp needs, Oliver. And then he sent us a link to the Google Drive folder wherein there were 2 harp files. You'll have heard one earlier, that dream sequence. Don't go thinking that was me.
No.
I don't even know how
Talentless
to
on the harp.
look at a harp. I don't know what I mean by that.
I'm enjoying the idea that now that we've got these, I'm going to attempt to quite convolutedly introduce a flashback element to the podcast.
Every week,
Yeah.
Declan's Corner, where he just remembers something from the day before. I guess the whole episode is flashback in a way, because if we're ever describing events... then
Right,
we
so
should-
replace that opening music then. Get rid of it. Done.
Look, say I was sitting at home with harp sounds aplenty and I wanted to, forward them out, jettison them like the load from Apollo 13 into our lives. Not the load from Apollo 13, that's never come near me.
Not.
But close.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
near.
well,
near.
go on, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a paradox.
Oh.
Think about it, it's clever.
It's like a night in a freezer in space.
From hell! Anyway, how would I send those across?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, you could email tass@shame.city. Now, we mentioned before, Tass,
It's only got the one S.
just the one.
Yeah, don't go sending it to anywhere else. That'd be preposterous.
So Tass, TAS@shame.city.
Yeah.
That comes straight through to us.
I get a little notification that is so closely linked to an endorphin hit that I really need you to start sending.
If you could please step up to the mark, guys. Look, you all got on board after episode 50. That was nice, but come on, it's been waning. We're not even at 60
Goodness
yet.
me.
You could also get in touch with us via the website. Very similar process.
Shame.city.
That's the one. Shame.city
place.
/contact.
That's got a form.
That'll just
Forms
send you
and all.
straight through.
What about Twitter? @That's a Shamecast.
No, we
That's
haven't got
what about
Twitter.
it. No, oh, we deleted it.
Oh, no, you're right.
No, we do.
have Twitter.
I'm
sorry.
@IsaacBD. You're @CynicalDeclan.
And the show, in case I spoke over it, as I definitely did, is @that.
@That's a Shamecast. That's
Spelling
the one.
optional.
What else do we have? Shame.city/mail. That's a mailing list where we send out all kinds of oddnesses every so often whenever they pop into our heads.
Give us a review. Shame.city/review.
5 stars, please.
Not please, only 5 stars only.
And of course, if this show brightens your life in even the slightest of senses, patreon.com/shamecity is a great way to give back. Here's the thing. I've had on my to-do list, as I just tweeted a few hours ago, Patreon made some changes to how fees worked, and basically it fucked you, the patrons, over in a big way. It meant that you were paying I think it was like a $3
fee or something.
It was a lot. If you were originally pledging $1, you'd have ended up paying close to $1.50. And there was a lot of backlash. I was going to message being we don't support these changes. We'll understand it if you drop out. But they recanted.
Hey!
So I don't have to send it, and we're not going to lose any of you, are we?
At all.
And in fact, we are only $9 away from going back to 2 episodes a week. That'll be Wednesdays, Sundays, the next Wednesday.
So that's twice as many as we're doing now?
Yes, for
so
the
would
same
you then
amount of
have to
money.
pledge...
Don't go thinking you have to change the pledge, although you can if you'd like.
So what you're saying is that pledge that you're giving already would go twice as far?
It is double or nothing. Actually, it's not nothing. It's double or single, which is a lot less catchy as a concept. Anyway, look, this has been episode 55, part 2, as it says over there,
Exactly.
but part 1 for you, the only part. I've been Isaac, you've been...
I've been Declan.
And we'll see you
On Wednesday.
next time. Not Wednesday. Sunday. Yes. Wednesday, you're right. See you then.
For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. Necessities, the bare necessities, the bare necessities of life will come to you.